Good evening and welcome to the Pittsford Board of Education meeting. If you would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So tonight we'd like to start out with a moment of silence for the recent racially motivated atrocity in Buffalo, New York. Our extended thoughts and prayers to the innocent lives lost, those who were injured, the families and loved ones impacted, their neighborhoods, and the greater Buffalo community. And as we were walking in this evening, we entered with breaking news of a school shooting with multiple casualties at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. Our prayers to those students, staff, and families impacted by yet another horrific and senseless act of violence. If we could have a moment of silence. Thank you. May I have an approval of the agenda, please? Thanks, Pete. And Robin, any edits? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Human Resource Report.
Good evening. First for your consideration, we have the professional staff report. There you'll see one teacher resignation for retirement, one school-related professional appointment, one certificated staff appointment, one salary adjustment for supervisory technical, and last but not least, a change in status from probationary to tenure for 17 certificated staff members.
We'll have an opportunity, I promise you. I promise you. May I have a motion, please? Second. Okay, we have Renee and Sarah. Do we have any questions? All in favor? Opposed? It is unanimous. But before you have a round of applause, I just do want to take an opportunity to say something to all of the recipients this evening. This is a night that annually we look forward to celebrating each one of you, each 10-year recipient. We're so grateful to be back in this room together after 2 years of not having that opportunity and only seeing you virtually. Being back in this room together to celebrate and congratulate you on this special milestone in your career. Reading your 10-year recommendations, the Board of Education has the utmost confidence in your ability to educate our students, even under the most unusual circumstances. This time of year is bittersweet for us because we celebrate the accomplishments of those teachers and staff and administrators who are retiring while looking forward to welcoming our tenured teachers and administrators who represent the future of our district. The nobility in choosing a profession that educates and improves the lives of our children each day is to be commended and applauded. Our gratitude to each of you for all you do for our students and what you will continue to do for our students and families. Congratulations.
At this point,
we have one more board action.
You can either be in for the long haul, or you can enjoy.
No. Oh, all in favor? Yeah, we did it. We already did that. Pete, what are you doing? You're throwing me off, Pete.
Okay, next for your consideration is the support staff report. We have one clerical appointment, one clerical resignation, one transportation appointment, one custodial appointment, and 2 food service appointments.
May I have a motion? Thanks, Renee. And Jeff, questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Principals report. We are so happy to welcome Mendon High School this evening. We have Melissa Julian, who's also a 10-year recipient. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for our board tour and coffee. It was so nice to visit with the staff while we were there, so
Yeah.
thank you for that.
It was nice to have all of you back in the building, to be honest with you. So thank you for having us tonight so we can highlight some of the things that Mendon has been doing this past year. I would like to thank Kelly Zelke and Laura Hefner, the assistant principals, for all of their hard work during this difficult time, and we couldn't do what we do without them. So tonight we're going to share a little bit about where we are in the 21-22 school year at this point, later in the year. So 3 areas of focus that the Mendon High School instructional leadership team wanted to focus as we returned from a very unusual year was obviously health and safety, and the social emotional supports for both students and staff, and then our instructional practices. These are the themes that we've continued to hold on to throughout the pandemic, but even prior to that, because health and safety, as we've heard, is a priority for all of us, but so is the social emotional well-being of all of our students and educating the whole student. And then we're always looking to fine-tune our instructional practices. So this year, we took the Board of Education goals around district equity and wanted to really look at how we use student voice in our building. And so our goal has been to elevate student voice in each one of those areas. And so our ILT, our instructional leadership team, refined what that would look like. And so rather than hear me tell you all of the things we're doing, I asked 3 of our students, one from each one of our subcommittees, to help and explain their role, what they've done this year, and the work that Mendon has been working on all year. So from our instructional leadership team, we have Yasmin, we have Sydney Gordon from our social emotional learning committee, and then we have Kaylin Stokes from our principals advisory group that was reestablished this year coming out of COVID. Okay. So Yasmin.
Good evening, members of the school board and audience. My name is Yasmin Rafai, and I am a junior at Mendon High School. I am also the student representative for the instructional leadership team at Mendon, which is also known as ILT. My job at ILT is to provide student insight and perspective on all matters regarding the student body. Over the course of the year, we have discussed and deliberated on a variety of important issues, some of the most significant being win time, student surveys, building equity in academic goals, and restorative circles. While talking about all of these subjects, I always felt like there was room for my opinions, and that those opinions mattered. For instance, when discussing how to conduct a student survey of their trusted adult in the building, I had suggested that the designated trusted adult should be made aware that they had been chosen as such, to provide a better space for communication. My thoughts were then brought to other committees, which altered the discourse on the survey entirely. It is things like that that have shown me just how important it is that students be put in a position to enter that conversation. Every time that I go into a meeting, I know that my thoughts will be respected equally to every other adult in the room. It is by this type of inclusion of diverse viewpoints that there are chances for growth and betterment. I'm so grateful to have been given this amazing opportunity to echo the thoughts of the students and see real change and action come from that. Mendon is a leading example to me of putting students first, and I hope that more and more schools will continue to find value in doing that. Thank you so much for your time. Good night.
Next, we're going to hear from Sydney, who joined our social emotional learning committee this year. This was the first year that we've actually invited students to participate. We've had a student leader from Student Council on Instructional Leadership team for many years, but we really felt like as we were trying to elevate student voice, we looked at specific areas that students have a very powerful voice and can help us navigate. So, Sydney Gordon.
Good evening. My name is Sydney Grossman. I'm a senior at Mendon and a member of the Social and Emotional Learning Committee. When I first heard that this committee was an opportunity for me to join on the morning announcements, it immediately caught my attention. I know that there is an increasingly devastating mental health problem in youth, especially seen in schools, and I knew that joining this committee would give me a chance to work with other students and uniquely staff members to plan activities for the Mendon community in order to promote social and emotional wellness. As I mentioned before, this committee is comprised of a few students and several staff members who all have a vested interest in coming up with fun and interactive activities for Mendon. We meet around once a month to discuss and plan these activities in a creative and accepting meeting. No one is ever afraid to suggest their ideas, and we frequently build off of each other's ideas to come up with the best events possible. This year, we have focused a lot on building off of previous activities that this committee has done in the past. This has included a fall thankful tree around Thanksgiving with leaves filled with things we're all thankful for, a February wellness calendar with different challenges on it, March paper clovers given to every homeroom to also write things we're thankful for on them, and most recently, a 2 weeks of kindness event sponsored by Mendon Money, where students are rewarded with this money for doing small or random acts of kindness, which they can trade in for prizes. The thankful tree and clovers are expansions of team building and collaborative skills for homeroom classes. They also remind us to be grateful for all that we have. The calendar is a continued reminder for self-care, and the Mendon Money Acts of Kindness event is a brand new activity this year to promote kindness even in its smallest forms. The combination of several perspectives throughout the school from both students and staff allows us to come up with events that people are really excited to participate in. As a student committee member, I can advocate for these activities that I know my peers would be excited about, promote participation from inside the classroom, and gain a real understanding of the balance between providing fun activities and the realistic standards for executing them. Plus, I have an even greater appreciation for staff members involved in planning school-wide activities, now knowing how much work and dedication they really require to pull off. Overall, the Social and Emotional Learning Committee fosters an incredibly comfortable and collaborative environment for committee members and, most importantly, the Mendon community. Thank you.
And then the Principals Advisory Committee is a group of students that we started this when I first started, and then we took a little hiatus because of COVID, but we brought it back this year. And students applied, but we actually ended up taking everyone. So there's about 46 students on the committee. About 20 that show up every month, but because of labs and different things, that won't be an issue in the future.
Good evening. My name is Kaylin Stokes, and I'm a junior at Pittsford Mendon High School and the student representative for our Principals Advisory Committee. This committee consists of students such as myself with many diverse experiences, backgrounds, and ideas. I'm part of a military family, so we move around a lot, not just state to state, but from country to country. Given my background and previous experiences at the many schools I've been to, I've never seen anything like Mendon's Principals Advisory Committee, and I'm very honored to have been part of it. We get together at least once a month to address any improvements that need to be made, things students would like to see happen at Mendon, or to address anything Ms. Julian would like a student's perspective on. During the first few meetings of the year, each student on the committee was given an assignment to come up with one thing that needs to be addressed and two potential solutions. All of these ideas were then turned into a list and were acknowledged and talked about during the following meeting. An example of this is that a couple of students saw that other students don't quite speak up about a problem or know who they're able to go to if they have an issue. The solution was to introduce the student population to the concept of a trusted adult. This leads to our ongoing project, which we are currently doing, in which we've all sat down and talked about the term trusted adult, and instead have turned to use the term connected adult. Our plan is to figure out a way to explain the concept of a connected adult to the student population and then conduct a student survey. I joined this group because being a military kid, it's my purpose to leave a mark on the places I move before I leave. I wanted to be a part of the change and express my ideas and suggestions in a place where I would be heard and acknowledged. This committee has met my expectations and has even gone above and beyond. Thank you for your time.
So as a leader, I'm very lucky to work with such talented students, right? We're all very lucky in our roles to have them as voices on all of these committees, and that's what we wanted to highlight tonight, is just some of the work that's going on through their lens and through their eyes. Any questions for us?
Just a quick comment and a thank you to Yasmin, Cindy, and I wasn't sure if I heard it, was it Caitlin? Yeah. Thank you very much for taking the time to come in and speak tonight. It's very helpful for the board to hear feedback from students, and you guys did an amazing job with your presentations tonight, so thank you.
I just want to say I didn't tell them what to say. They came up with it all on their own.
That's a tough act to follow, Melissa, for sure. And again, you can be anywhere right now, and you're here in the boardroom, and we can't thank you enough for taking the time to express yourselves the way you did in such an articulate fashion. And it really educates us, and we're able to see you, which is something that we have really strived to do, is to see our students and be able to listen and learn from you. So thank you for all that you're doing above and beyond what you do on a daily basis, which is, going to your classes and doing the things you should be doing. But thank you for that. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. They're going to go now because they have things to do. Is that okay? Right? And we're going to walk them out. Is that okay?
Thank you so much.
Great job.
Have a good night. Okay, moving right along. May I have an approval of the minutes from May 10th? Thanks, Robin. And Jeff, I saw your hand next. Any edits? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Board of Education reports. Monroe County School Boards is winding down, but we do have a few dates to remember. Today we had a Town Village School District Leadership meeting. Tomorrow we have our Monroe County School Board's annual meeting. The 30th, schools will be closed for Memorial Day recess. And we also have a Memorial Day parade that all of you should have received an email today to meet at 9:30. And the 7th of June is our next scheduled board meeting. Hard to believe we're in June. With that, we will move on to the acceptance of the record of May 17th budget vote and school board election. May I have a motion, please? Thanks, Ted and Sarah. Do we have any questions, comments? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Financial report, Darren.
Thank you. We have the Treasurer's report for April. We received the unpaid taxes from Monroe County, just under $2 million. Excuse me, we also have started getting receipts from the school districts that have students that are not Pittsford students, but they go to private schools within Pittsford. We provide the health and welfare services. We are down a little bit as far as what we've collected compared to previous years. Another thing I want to draw your attention to that's a little unusual is the reserves, the bank accounts for the reserves. We're trying a new product where they all go into one savings account so we can get a little bit better interest rate, but they do give the reporting separately so we can keep them separate. School lunch fund is trending better as it has all year long. You'll notice one difference there as far as the $40,000 in the last line of the revenue. That's because of money that was brought over from the general fund last year because of having the hybrid model. The fund was struggling, but we're making that back up. And also, April 2022 had 5 less serving days than the prior year, so the plan is doing well. That concludes the Treasury report, and I have one information item for you after you take action.
May I have a motion, please? Jeff and Robin, questions?
I actually have one.
Okay.
Darren, are we seeing an increase in costs for the food that we purchase
Yes.
for our lunches?
Yes. You see that in the line on the report right there. A lot of that is because we're using more food because sales are up. But also we're seeing approximately 65% as of March increase in costs on food overall.
Great, thank you.
Just real quickly, kind of a point of pride or something that I'm very proud of.
I just have to take the.
Oh, sorry. Thought you did that.
Okay, all in favor? Any other questions first? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Go ahead, Darren, sorry.
That's okay.
I know, we don't favor that.
Well, maybe we could vote again on it, too. Every year, and you've heard me speak of it before, but our DOT out-of-service rating, the DOT comes every 10 days, and they randomly look at our buses and inspect them. They have what they call an out-of-service rating, and this year, prior to them sending the report, I actually received a phone call which made my heart stop because 15 years ago when I received that call, it was usually you guys are struggling, and we had gotten to ourselves too. We were among the best in the state, so I was nervous, especially when the mechanics had met with me earlier in the year, and they were concerned that they were driving so much, they didn't have as much time to work on the buses, and they were very worried about it. DOT called to commend the district because, to give you some of the numbers that they use, 90%, I'll reverse it, 10% is out-of-service rating is what their target is for school districts. The average in New York State right now is 3.6%, but they say it's on its way down. We actually improved. Our out-of-service rate was 0.42%.
Wow.
So as he put it to me, when a parent sends their kid onto one of Pittsford's buses, they have less than 0.5% chance that there's something minor not right with the bus.
That's
So,
incredible.
I think it's pretty impressive, as considering every single one of those mechanics is driving virtually every day, both morning and night, and doing the regular job.
And we'd be remiss if we don't acknowledge what they do on a day in and day out basis. It's truly remarkable, given the year that we've had with busing, and I don't foresee that changing in the near future. Truly incredible what they do on a daily basis. So thank you to our mechanics and our bus drivers and our transportation center under your leadership, Darren. Thank you.
Amy, can I ask a question followed up based on what Mike had just asked? So Darren, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but this just got me thinking. If prices are going up for the cost of food, are we going to see an impact down the road, whether it's next year or the year after, of that being passed down to students who are buying lunches?
You'll be seeing at the next board meeting, the budget for school lunch fund, and we're looking at that. Yeah, I would anticipate at least 25 cent increase. We haven't increased the lunch prices the last 2 years.
Thank you.
Okay, special education report, Elizabeth.
Yes, the committee recommendations are on the consent agenda.
Okay. Superintendent's report, Mike?
There is not a need for an executive session this evening. A few random announcements. Just a reminder, our summer retreat will more than likely be 8 to 3:30 on the first day, and then 8 till probably noon on the second day, right around that time frame. And that's July 12th and 13th. We possibly could have over 100 people in attendance this time. Our focus is on building and district safety. The reason the number is so high, and it's going to be a different type of group that we invite. Normally we invite ILC, DPT, IAC at times, depending on what the topic is, and a lot of different PTSA leadership. This year, we are going to be inviting all of our building safety teams. So just in the building safety teams alone, we're at about 65 people without counting the building administrators. And so by the time we get to just the building level teams and the Board of Ed and central office team and PDLT, we're at about 90 already. And so we're going to need to rethink what number is too big and the role of different committees that have come in the past. Are there any questions about the summer retreat or workshop? Okay, recently New York State sent out a new number for behavioral health crisis hotline in the state. It is a 3-digit number. It was created so that it can be an easily memorable number, so it is 988. When 988 is called, you connect automatically with behavioral health crisis counselors. This is supposed to go live July 16th. Callers who dial 988 will be connected to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline call center. The New York State Office of Mental Health has created a monthly newsletter as well, and there is a way to easily sign up for that newsletter. All of this information will be posted on our website after the board meeting, so probably tomorrow morning we'll have that for the community to view. I would encourage everyone to read, click on the links, and if you're interested, to please sign up for the updates in the mental health educational newsletters. Today, also got an email from the New York State Department of Education at around just shortly after 10 a.m. That information is posted on our website currently. They announced that the U.S. History and Government Regents exam for this June has been canceled due to content in the exam having the potential to compound student trauma caused by the recent violence in Buffalo. This does not impact all other Regents exams. They will occur as scheduled. The full email that I received and the link is also on our homepage. So I would encourage people that are interested to visit that.
And who to reach out to with questions, because we're getting parents.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions at all, I would contact your building principal. That should be your first line of questions. And Amy touched on this earlier, but last week we honored over 50 retirees in our district. And we also honored those with 20 years of service. And then tonight we celebrated those receiving 10 years. So I think it's important that we recognize those that are starting with us, those that have been with us for a while, and those that are leaving us. It's a different world in education right now, and I give them all the credit in the world. And our hope is that we're able to retain all of the teachers, which is why we speak a lot to our culture, our climate, our values, in creating an atmosphere where our educators want to stay here. It is it's a competitive world in education right now, where we're seeing districts sometimes try to, I don't want to say steal, but take, borrow, poach, no, other educators from different buildings or different districts because we're all in need. So again, just thank you to the board and central office team for attending all of those celebrations and for the expectations that you've set forward for having an environment where people do feel support. Thank you.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Thanks, Renee and Ted. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. That moves us to old business. Anyone?
Do you want to mention the retreat as a reminder?
Oh, right. We didn't have that on here. We do have a board retreat coming up, which is Thursday. I believe you have the location. We shared that already, but board retreat on Thursday. Okay. New business. I do have some new business that I'd like to share. I'm going to take this opportunity to correct a little bit of misinformation that's been circulating on social media regarding board policy changes. Just to educate our greater community, most Board of Education policies, district policies, are reviewed and forwarded to us by BOCES and by school law attorneys. Many times, these policies are derived from the federal or state, by federal and state laws or regulations, and all policies require a first and second reading prior to being approved by the Board of Education. This Board of Education implemented a best practice about 1.5 years ago to share any district policy changes and/or additions with the public after the first reading. That's unheard of. And the reason we did that was because people were talking about transparency of changes in our policy. So now, after the first reading, the board has the first reading. It is then public. If the public had a comment, you can submit that to the superintendent and/or Board of Education, and we'll take it under advisement. So what does that mean? I just explained you can reach out to us. Again, we're one of the only districts who does this prior to a second reading and acceptance of any of our policy changes. So I'd like to make sure that that information is not circulating anywhere in our community because it is false. Anyone else have new business? No? Okay. Then with that, we're going to move to public comment. I do have one card here. Meredith Graham, 21 Northfield Gate. I don't think you're on.
Not on. Okay. Thanks for taking my comment. Meredith Graham, 21 Northfield Gate. I'm here because I just saw a recent study in the Journal for Infectious Diseases that was a survey of 147 different scientific studies about COVID. And it was specifically looking at symptoms of long COVID. And that came up with 43% of those who get COVID end up with long COVID symptoms, which isn't insignificant. I took a look at the New York State COVID report card, and since September, approximately 200, just over 200 employees, meaning teachers and staff, have gotten COVID. And I understand that at this point, our health department in Monroe County is not interested in making mask mandates as numbers go up. And I know that that's not going to happen at the board level either. But I would ask you to consider the financial implications of long COVID, because with 80 folks who are employees, all with that potential, and that's just since this fall, right? I'm not counting last year in that number. That's going to be a financial implication because we as a district have made the really great, it was a great idea, and I still think it is, to be in a healthcare consortium. I think that saved us a lot of money. It was very wise, but that does mean that if somebody gets cancer or somebody gets something in our district, that we're paying for that directly. And that's, that's a financial implication. So I guess where I'm going with this is, if there's a way to implement other mitigation strategies besides masking, that would be great. For example, ventilation and upgrading our HVAC and filtering and whatever we can do. I think that the federal money that came could be used for that. It's a one-time thing. It would be an improvement. It would reduce the chance of other infectious diseases that we might get. We don't know where COVID is going. We don't know what's going to happen, obviously. So, financially, we can talk about what is the impact, and we can look at using that money to reduce the financial implication on our staff. Thank you.
Thanks, Meredith. With that, that's the only card I have. So we are going to shut down public comment. May I have a motion to adjourn, please? Thanks, Pete and Sarah. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks, everyone.